Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics. Gamers know ambition is a double-edged sword. A risky early move can often decide the game right out the doorstep, whether it's a rush that overwhelms your opponent because they weren't ready to defend, or a gambit that doesn't quite play out like you had hoped. But of course, it's not just gamers that take risks. Every aspect of life involves it, and this includes game development. Hello everyone, I'm Adam the Fanatic, also known as Mario Fanatic 15, and today we're going to be taking a look at Starshift by Psychronic Games. Please keep in mind that this is a preview, not a full review. The game is still in an alpha state, and as such has a great deal of placeholder art, dead ends, and bugs that are simply a result of being so early in development. You don't go into a house while they're putting up the walls and complain about a lack of air conditioning. Starshift is a space opera RPG that combines different styles of gameplay into a single storyline. You have your typical personal battles that you see in a JRPG, but you'll also have two different types of tactical battles, both space-based and ground-based. The style progression is an interesting mixture of JRPG and WRPG elements, as you'll be able to choose your own skills as you level up, though stat gains are already determined for you. You'll have combat that more resembles a JRPG, but the flow of the game definitely feels more WRPG inspired, as there are numerous choices that you can make to affect the game long term. You may have already noticed that the game is made in RPG Maker, and I'm well aware of the reputation that such is garnered. And to be fair, it's not totally unearned. Many a lazy game has been made in the engine. However, every once in a while, an ambitious game that really pushes the engine to its limits comes out, and that's what we're here to look at today. A game that attempts to be something more. At the onset, you'll pick from a number of avatars to use for the game. You not only have humans to choose from, but also a number of other beings, including androids, splicing experiments that have populated the galaxy over time, and an alien people known as the Krill. After that, you'll choose a class which determines your stat growth over the course of the game. I've played a fair bit of this game as both a male avian and a female cyborg, and I've not noticed any differences between them, though this may simply be something that's not yet included in the game. As aforementioned, Starshift is an RPG that defies typical JRPG versus WRPG classification, taking elements from both styles and combining it into a single whole. Obviously, RPG Maker is made for creating JRPGs, and the combat system most closely follows that, as turn-based battles go back and forth between your party and the enemies. You have two different resource pools for specials. Power, which is recharged when resting, much like MP would be in a fantasy title, and Charge, which builds up as you fight, and resets to 0 after each battle, though there is an item you can equip to avoid this loss. Both of these have special abilities which they fuel, depending on both your equipment and your skills. As characters battle, they'll gain experience points and level up as expected of a JRPG. In addition, they'll also gain skill points, which can be used to purchase various abilities to use in and out of combat. Each character has their own class, but skills currently don't seem to be affected by such. You don't get them any cheaper for picking skills from a character's matching class. However, their class does affect which stats are increased as they level up. In addition to personal combat, you'll also have two forms of tactical combat. Both play pretty similarly to one another, with the first being space battles where you go to ship, and the other being ground-based battles where armies will engage with one another. In both of these, not only is positioning important, but also facing, as attacking an opponent from behind will deal more damage than a frontal assault. Likewise, you'll want to avoid exposing your 6, lest your units take more damage. If you've ever played something like Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, you'll be right at home here. Over the course of the game, you'll have a number of optional characters you can recruit to join you, and some not so optional. You can have up to 7 in your party at a time, but the others will still gain skill points and experience while they're away, allowing you to switch them out freely without having to worry about some of them falling behind. One of the things that caught my attention is that optional characters still have a place in the story if they're there. There's a doctor that you can recruit or skip early on, and while you might not even see her in your playthrough, she actually had a couple of scenes dedicated to her. As a work in development, the plot is currently incomplete. I don't want to go into too much detail on the story because I don't have enough information to fully explore such. I will say there are a number of branching paths which are intended to be in there, though most of these do not yet appear in the game. Even so, you're presented with a number of dialogue options with different ways to approach various situations, and see the resulting consequences of such. The writing is competent, though a bit dry. It tells what it needs to tell, and there's a good bit of world building going on, but dialogue between characters often feels stilted. Presentation is definitely the weakest part of the game. Now granted, many of the portraits used are placeholders for now, but those that aren't are not the best of art. Locales feel kind of bland, but I feel that's largely because of the limits of RPG Maker and having to rely on pre-made tiles. Graphically, I'm not expecting great things, but I've never seen graphics as the driving force behind games anyways. If the story and gameplay are solid, I can ignore subpar graphics. As aforementioned, Starshift is an ambitious title, especially for a studio's first game. I've seen games where this played out wonderfully, and others where it went terribly. And it's far too early into development to say that this game won't fall into either category or anywhere in between. What I can say is that there's definitely a drive and passion behind this project. I really hope that Psychronic stays the course, as this seems like it'll be a joy to play if it manages to cross that finish line. Even if the game itself doesn't end up being a masterpiece, there's already impressive groundwork here that shows promise of what's to come, even if it doesn't bear fruit until future projects. As this title is still in development, I'll not be giving Starshift a formal review score at this time. However, as this game will not be available to purchase until the main storyline is complete, and the full version will always be freely downloadable from Psychronic's website, with the Steam version acting more as a tip jar than a price of entry, you don't have the typical risk of early access. And even now, you can watch the game's development and try it for yourself by downloading the current demo version. Just make sure you wear your hard hat. This is the very definition of a passion project. Psychronic is more interested in getting the game out there than they are about making money off of it. If you're interested in downloading or following Starshift, links are included in the description. What are some ambitious first titles you enjoyed? What are some that you were disappointed in? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below, and please remember to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.